Hello, Sarah. Thanks for coming and doing this with me today. I appreciate it, and I think it's also important for you to tell your story and for people to hear it. So, if you don't mind, tell me who you are and what you do in hospitality.
Fab. Yeah, hi. So I'm Sarah, and I've started with the food truck, added another food truck. Now I've got a cafe. Now I've got a restaurant with accommodation upstairs as well. So, um, very, very busy in Llanberis in North Wales, which is a beautiful area to live. We are halfway between the ocean and the mountains on the lake. Um, so, yeah, it's a very, very stunning area to visit. But in the summer, it's total carnage. We get probably 6 million visitors to Snowdonia every year, I think it is. So yeah, hospitality just goes from 0 to 10,000% every 6 months. Um, so yeah, very very busy.
So, yeah, Llanberis is just up the road from me as well. So, when you get busy in the summer, is that all like tourists coming to do outdoor activities mainly?
Yeah, activities or just generally being a nice place to be. You know, you can swim in the lake. The beaches here are absolutely stunning. Very quiet as well compared to places like Cornwall. So it's a stunning area to explore. Um, and the locals as well. You know, it's just a nice place to get out and about. And school holidays hit, and there's nowhere better to just be on the lake. Um, you're on your holidays. You want to go out for dinner. You want to go out to eat. So, yeah, crazy time for us for sure in the summer.
So, five businesses in Llanberis. So, before we started working, uh, 2 or 3 months ago now. That was you obviously that was a lot on your plate. What would you say your biggest challenges were or frustrations were with your life, your businesses before starting to work with me?
So it's the curse of hospitality that you're so people focused. You've got customers coming through the door asking you all the most ridiculous, stupid questions. You've got a massive team of staff because it's so demanding on the team. You know, it's the most staff heavy industry you could ever be in. So you've got constantly people requiring your attention. The biggest challenge I would say is being so busy, so stressed, but just completely stuck in that spiral. Just couldn't get out of it at all. So you're constantly at that level. You're vibrating at this frequency, trying to keep up with everything. Problems, staffing issues, customers having problems. Well, I need a table. Oh, well, there's a wait on food. These tiny, tiny little problems are just completely filling your cup to the point of total breakdown for yourself mentally. Keeping up at that level is exhausting. And there was just no way of breaking that spiral. When you're physically on edge, you know, you're like this constantly, 12-hour days, but your body can't relax and your brain can't relax. And that's the spiral that I'm trying to explain. You're just stuck in that you're either worrying about work and you're stressing about work and you're mentally never switching off. So you're jumpy, you're on edge, you're always ready for the next disaster. And then your body's fired up and you're in fight or flight. So your brain can never switch off and you're just constantly in this loop. Um, and even then, when I was trying to relax or take a morning off or slow morning or try and leave work early, I wasn't relaxing. Um, it wasn't breaking the spiral. I think that was a really tough kind of situation to be in.
And that's where a lot of people find themselves, and I definitely found myself like that as well. Do you know what I mean? So I know exactly what that feels like, and I talk to many people who feel exactly the same way that you did. And when you're feeling that way, there is no, you feel like there's no hope, there's no other way. You just feel like you're completely consumed by it. Is that how you felt?
Yeah, totally all consuming at work or at home.
So what was it in the end for you that was like it's enough? What made you decide to get in touch and invest in what you've seen that I did? What tipped you over the edge to make that step out really?
I think I just had complete trust in a program that was designed for hospitality. No other industry in the UK suffers like we do. Um, and it's so specifically designed around the stress, the running of a business, how much pressure you have to your team and to your customers, the financial challenges that hospitality are facing. And it was just a program designed with that in mind, and it just felt completely catered for my brain. It was really good to see something that had years of personal experience behind, and that trust in the program really allowed me to like open up into it and be like, oh wow, right, yeah, cool, okay, and that really helped me engage with it for sure.
It's still though, before you step out though, it's still quite, and you obviously you admit you need help and support. Stepping out and making that decision to drop that first message to say, yeah, I need some help. That's still very daunting, and I know what it was like for me, but like, where were you before you dropped that message? Before you made that, that you admitted to yourself as well as me.
Yeah, it's just in that point of nothing can help. Like I can't help myself. My partner can't help me. My family can't help me. My friends have no idea what I'm genuinely struggling with. These total breakdowns, this constant chronic stress. And it was just this tiny little lifeline, this tiny possibility that actually I'm not the only one that suffers with this. Hospitality is real, and it is something that is, a lot of people that are in hospitality do really struggle with. Um, so it is a bit of a leap of faith, a bit of a jump, but you've got to do it because the other option would have been total catastrophe. I would have had a complete breakdown. It was completely unsustainable, and that would have meant closing all of the businesses, 70 people losing their jobs, and just walking away. It couldn't have continued.
So real, isn't it? So real. So you find yourself at that stage, which is real, and it's painful, uh, and you're lost, and then you obviously you drop a message to me. You agree to invest in yourself. We start the program. I introduce you to it. We start working. You're obviously new to this kind of thing. What you're thinking in those first few weeks? What you're feeling when you start to work through the program?
I wasn't skeptical. I was really trying to believe in it because you want it to work. But I was thinking, well, but how? There's too many disasters. There's too many catastrophes. Like real things have happened that it's been traumatic. And you just think it's simply too much. It's quite hard opening up about those and talking about them. Um, you relive them and you're like, wow, like what I have lived through with restaurants flooding, with total financial disasters. These are really important things. Um, so my initial thoughts were, how can we ever overcome that? And also, wow, this is hard to talk about to someone else and explain those things and show how much it's hurt and how much I've struggled. Um, that initial opening up is tricky when the disasters and the stress and the heartache has been so real.
But the fear of not doing anything made you just continue to show up every week and want to do better.
Yeah. I mean, I've forced myself to go to the restaurant even when I'm exhausted. I force myself to just get stuck in. I say yes to every event, and I'm an outgoing person. I really want to push myself into things where I think I can. I'm not. I'd always face a challenge. It was a different kind of challenge.
What would you say were the moments in the working together in the program where you kind of had like breakthrough moments or aha moments where you're like, oh shit, this is working, or this works for me?
I think it's quite ongoing as you go through the sessions, and it's maybe quite subtle. There are some really key points where you're like, wow, yeah, okay. But it's so ongoing and it all kind of leads on to each other. I think initially, when you're starting, awareness before control. And I think so much in hospitality, you're like, wow, I'm really stressed. Right. Okay, breathe. Let's go tackle this problem. It's not quite enough. That's not really getting into it. You've really got to be aware before you can control that situation, control that implosion or that total breakdown or that super high level of stress. How to regulate under pressure and is then something that we were really learning on there. And okay, just take a deep breath, but it was something that you will like kept drilling in, like especially at the beginning. Everyone can relax when they're relaxing in that situation, but to be able to relax and take control in a stressful situation, when you've short-staffed, when someone's had a massive go or something's gone wrong, that's a really key moment to be able to still have control and still regulate at that moment.
I remember when we were at the beginning and I tried to help you catch those thoughts before we just go straight to reacting, so we get a choice to respond or not. I remember you always, at the beginning, that was a real struggle for you to I think you understood it, but then not understanding how you could implement it. I think as we went on, once you understood that and you started to implement it, you really started to see the changes that made. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, definitely. Which I think has been a great, those aha moments when you see that reflected on my team, where I would maintain that level of calm. I would choose how I could react. And the knock-on effect of that for my managers, when they've been let down or they've got staffing issues and they're stressed and upset, me remaining calm, me talking it through with them with a little bit, and then seeing them make a really sensible decision, not hot-headed, not reacting emotionally. And when me and you were talking about specific incidents, that really showed. And that wasn't just me making the right decision. This is now me acting as a regulated leader and other people in my team also choosing how they react. And we saw just how positive that was. It meant that we didn't have people overreacting and quitting. It meant that we didn't have people downing tools and walking out. It meant that we always acted professionally, calmly, sensibly, and we've all stayed friends in a really good way. Like it's just a much calmer working environment. So that was good, for sure.
Now you've kind of like gone through the process. Do you feel like those tweaks, when we're actually going through it, they seem like they're quite big changes that we have to wrap our head around? But looking back on them now, there's simpler tweaks which make a huge impact, aren't they? Just the way that you approach these situations is when you give yourself that moment to respond instead of react. They actually end up, impacting on your business and yourself tenfold. What?
Yeah, go on.
No, please carry on.
It's a way that you're not trying to suppress these emotions and not feel them. I think that was really key to recognize as well. That was a good moment of, right, I can feel upset. And if an oven blows up on a Saturday morning before service, yeah, that's quite stressful. It's okay. We'll deal with it logically. What can we do? Can we fix it ourselves? Can we call an electrician? Can we put it in ChatGPT? Yeah, fixed. Great. You can feel this stress. You can feel these bad emotions, but you can choose.
One of our biggest challenges with you was you being able to deal with like a real tangible problem like the oven. And although you found them stressful, you were quite good at dealing with that in general anyway. It was the emotional problems that crept up that was where you really struggled? What would you say the biggest shift was there for you?
I think it's really important to recognize, well, people just aren't ovens. They don't have a wiring diagram and you can't fix them with a screwdriver. People are so dynamic. They're constantly changing. They're making random decisions. They got stuck in traffic. They're trying to renovate a house. There's this. There's so many other factors to people's lives. And a really important thing that probably was my favorite moment is me getting stressed or upset, very emotional about them not performing in their role, not upholding responsibilities, being let down, feeling betrayed. These people just aren't good enough. And reframing that to, well, they're just people. Of course they're going to have issues. There's so much going on in everybody's lives that actually not good enough. Well, yeah, but actually it's good enough. You're never going to be perfect, especially in hospitality, which is crazy high level staffing. There's so many people with your customers, your kitchen team, your front of house, your bar staff, so many complications going on in that, so many interrelationships every single day, every single service. You're never going to be perfect. Some people might have forgot to be given water. Some people might not have been asked for dessert. Well, that's not the end of the world. You can choose to react to that. You can choose to let it go. And you definitely feel a whole lot better because of it.
Well, that leads on to my next question, really, in general, because obviously that's a big shift of how you approach any situation in life. Never mind hospitality is, taking a minute to take stock and realize it can never be everything you want it to be. It can never be perfect, and being happy with what you've got, but always obviously still striving to improve everything that we do in life. But holding on to that, being realistic about what we can achieve, really, and allowing people that space to perform without feeling like they're under pressure. So that leads on to my next question. Is like, how would you say for you, how is what the work we did together, the program that we went through, how has it impacted on your personal life as well as your business and just the overall success of both, really?
Yeah, I think it's well reflected on both sides, isn't it? The businesses, I'm now taking a good step back from day-to-day management, being on shift, cooking in the kitchen. And now I'm able to work on the business instead of in the business. I can look at, right, where are we going to be in the next year, 5 years? What's the next project? What's the next plan? What's the bigger picture? And at home, having broken that spiral of stress, you just feel overwhelmingly calm. There isn't this constant vibration in the back of my head going, what do you need to do? What do you need to think about? Able to just kind of let it go. And being able to have downtime, and instead of recovery, it's actually quality time. I think with the scores that you look at, we actually do put it into numerical values at the start, and the scores speak for themselves. We're going from what's your finances, your relationship, what's your quality of life, and they've gone from straight ones to straight tens, and that speaks massively. Not to mention having just got married and having had this incredible week with all of my friends, all of my family, just the love and happiness and just pure joy that I've been able to experience with that. Couldn't have been better timing, really.
It's I love hearing it. It's exactly why I do this. Do you know what I mean? For people to have these moments. When would you say there was the moment where it kind of clicked for you, where it was kind of like, this is probably why I sent Tom a message, and this is what I was looking for without knowing what I was looking for, but this is kind of what I was looking for? Can you put a finger on that? I know it's a bit difficult, but or was there
Yeah,
another?
it's hard to say a specific thing because it's just this beautiful continual process, isn't it? That every day it's a development. So you can't say, you've got a workbook and you're ticking off questions. It's not a lesson. You're not in school. It's so much back and forth, and you kind of find your own answers within what you're talking about. Um, we've kind of touched on it there, but the good enough being good enough, that's a huge positive shift. It really allows me to step out of service. If there's an issue, the customers can ask. They don't need to be badgering me. Where's the sugar? Or have I got this? Or have I got that? That letting go has allowed me to step out of the business. Why I think I feel this calm and stress free at home and in personal life is because you recognize that disasters are going to still happen. Awful things are going to still happen. You can feel really stressed, and that adrenaline, when something kicks in, you're like, oh my God, this is really bad. But you will deal with it because you have to, and you always will. It takes out the urgency and that chronic stress of, oh my God, catastrophe, I need to be there. I'm constantly on my phone, always on edge. Instead of living on the brink of disaster, it'll be fine. Bad things will happen and we will overcome them. Because there's proof, there's evidence of that. Look at what we've done over the last 3 years. Of course we'll overcome that. Being able to put my phone away for dog walks, to just not be bothered by catastrophes, is a huge step to that personal calm, breaking free of that chronic stress.
I always remember you, it was a tough one for you, always getting ready for the next disaster.
Mm.
I always remember like trying to encourage you not to think that way. You looked at me like I had two heads initially, but now hearing you talk, embracing that calm and that peace, like it's no problem. What what does that feel like now?
It gives me a really strong hope for the future, that it's like this shield now, that if there is anything in the future, it's going to be okay. I've got that calm, that level of control in my personal life. But isn't that like this shield for what's to come? That there's always going to be something between me and that catastrophic breakdown or disaster. So it just makes me feel like the businesses are going to be sustainable. They're always going to be strong because we're always going to be able to deal with it. We're going to be able to deal with whatever happens. It's a really important thing for the future.
How do you think you view hospitality before you started? How did you view your hospitality experience before, and how do you think you view your hospitality experience now?
It's good to put it specifically into hospitality because it was so stressful from every single angle. 5 businesses, but being so in front of customers still, like you're just on site and they'll come and badger you about something on the menu and you're like, oh my God, my head. And I can't deal with it. And I will be rude. I'll be like, sorry, I can't help you. Or I'll have said to a customer, I don't work here, and just walked away because I can't. I'm literally this full. I'm so stressed and there's so much to do and you never reach the end of the to-do list. And realizing that you don't have to be everywhere all at once. You don't have to do everything in a day. It's this time scale. I feel like I've just suddenly got so much more time. Yeah, there are projects on the back burner, as always, more businesses to start. But now I look at my hospitality as being very self-sufficient. If there are problems with customers, they can go to the supervisors. If there's problems with the supervisors, they can go to the managers. 3 managers. That's not just 3 people that can come at me with problems. And that structure has always been there. But now I'm trusting it. You have to. If you're in this for the long term, you have to trust your team. Trust the process.
Are you proud of yourself now?
Yeah, I can now look at the businesses with a real sense of pride. They're working really well, and all of this hard work is so paid off. They're fantastic. The passion behind what we do in hospitality, the community, the people, the love of food and coming together in these beautiful spaces is so important. That's why we do it. And now being able to recognize that is so important. I didn't have that before. I didn't value them before. I just saw this huge stress, this constant catastrophe. And now I can look at it from above and think, wow, this is amazing. Being able to have that level of gratitude is so important.
So what would you, if you got the opportunity to say to somebody who may be sitting on the fence or is sitting there knowing that they are struggling, but is fearful of reaching out and getting help, what would you say to that person?
Just do it now. Just do it. Trust Tom, and also trust yourself. The answers you need will come from you. What is different about this program is it's ongoing, it's long term. You're looking at weeks and months, which is going to help you for years to come. It's such an incredibly specific program for a hospitality brain that it couldn't be more perfectly designed for that level of stress, the financial difficulties, everything that we face in hospitality. 3 pubs closing every day. It absolutely nails what we do. But we do it because we love people and there's so much passion behind it. But that can burn you out so much emotionally, because you're not just putting in massive financial risk and huge amount of hours. You're putting your life and soul into these independent businesses and spaces that we've created. It's not sustainable to do that on your own without help. Trust Tom, trust doing this, and yeah, trust yourself. Be open, just go for it.
That was ace, mate. Well, I appreciate you trusting me, and I am extremely grateful for the work you put in for yourself, because ultimately, I think you just said it then. Like, you had all the answers. You did this, and this is the reward. And now you can go back into thriving in your hospitality experience and your personal life. That's the goal. So good for you. And thank you for this. I appreciate you massively. Thank you for giving me the time so you can tell your side of it. It's so important, and hopefully it helps. So thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Amazing. Awesome.